Now joined by Jide from Abuja studio, and he's also a public affairs analyst. Good to have you join us, Dr. Jide. I mean, I'm having this conversation with Femi Lawson here in the studio about why the impact of the local government elections, and perhaps that is linked to why people don't turn out to vote. But why do you think that the local governments are now looking like the unfortunate orphans in the tiers of government, tier of government?
Thank you, my sister. I listened to Mr. Femi Lawson, and he's quite spot on with the challenges of conducting local government elections in Nigeria. When people don't see the impact of governance at the grassroots, they don't want to participate. It's not a rocket science. And aside from lack of governance, or good governance as we may want to put it, it also boils down to a number of other factors. The shutdown of the economy because of election affects voter turnout. Historically, I don't know, I've been privileged to observe elections across many jurisdictions, including the United States of America. And I never knew, elections in America will hold the first Tuesday in November of every election year. In Ghana, the election day is even in the Constitution of Ghana, which is December 7th of the election year. Whether it falls on a Monday or on Sunday or Saturday or on any other day of the week, election will go on. But in our own climb, we have elections for 6 hours, when other climes, they have elections for between 10 to 12 hours. We shut down our economy when in other climes, election goes and people can go to work even after casting their ballot or on their way to office or when they are back from the office. But this whole thing is not there. Then there is also the challenge of election workers. The hundreds of thousands of ad hoc staff that have been recruited by LASEC in Lagos, for instance, will not have opportunity to vote. The security agencies who are policing the election will not have opportunity to vote. The election observers who are observing the election will not have opportunity to vote. Your colleagues and yourself, who are media practitioners who have been accredited to observe the election, will not have opportunity to vote. In other climes, including Ghana, including Kenya, including several other African countries, you have what is called provision for early voting. Early voting provision is for you to vote like about a week to the election, as it were. Assuming that there is an opportunity for all of you who are on election duty today, from civil society organizations to media, journalists who are monitoring, who are observing the elections, to the polling agents, down to security agents, and then the ad hoc staff in their hundreds of thousands. Assuming that they have cast their ballot a week to today, you could have seen a significant improvement. So these are some of the factors that have affected and will continue to affect our voter turnout. So unless we do the needful, do what other countries are doing. When I went to Egypt to observe election in 2014, my dear sister, elections hold in Egypt for 12 hours, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And even at night, it's like broad daylight because everywhere is well lit. An election takes place inside a classroom. And, there is a perimeter fencing around the schools that are used for elections so that, there is a proper security cordon around that place. So when we talk about voter apathy, low voter turnout, it's a function of all of these variables I've talked to you about. There are many people who could not collect their PVCs because INEC stopped the distribution of PVCs way back in 2022, ahead of 2023 elections. And INEC has not started the distribution of PVCs now. So a lot of occupational mobility, geographical mobility, people have had to relocate either into or out of Lagos. People have misplaced their PVC, and since you cannot vote unless there's a PVC, and even LASEC is not authorized by law to have its own voters register. It relies on INEC's voters register. LASEC is
but
not
Dr. Jide
allowed
Ojo,
to register
if I may
political
come in
parties
here,
themselves.
if I may come in here, the perception, you know, I understand that all of the factors you have mentioned also contribute, but doesn't the perception of the relevance of the local government also contribute to this? Because we know that when it comes to general election, people turn out much more than what we've seen on the queue. It is still low in terms of voter turnout, but compared to what we have seen on the queue this morning for local government elections, people turn out. Gubernatorial elections, people turn out much more than this. And so it doesn't mean that people think, look, if you're not relevant to me, why should I turn out to vote? And then again, the credibility of the process.
Well, again, you are on point, but what I feel, and this is why I'm saying what I'm saying, is that local governance system is almost absent. I've lived in Lagos before I moved to Abuja. I lived in the Ipaja area of Lagos for 2 years, and I do know that about that time that I was living in Lagos, there's almost a total absence of local governance system at that point. We do not have good roads. We do not have water. There was practically a lack of absence of governance, local governance system in the Ipaja-Ayobo axis of Lagos at that time. I'm talking about 2000 to 2003. So, you know, I don't know what the situation is around about this time, but that I'm not sure the situation have changed much. And so then you also must put the blame partly on the part of the political parties. I understand there are 15 political parties that are contesting today's election. How much voter mobilization did these parties themselves do? Did they create the needed awareness? Are they part of the mobilization? You know, in our jurisprudence, I don't know about LASEC law, but I do know that for general election, campaign stops on Thursday preceding the Saturday that election will hold. They said 24 hours. But that seems like 48 hours to me, because if they say campaign will stop at Thursday preceding Saturday that the election will hold. But whatever it is, what is expected of political parties and candidates is to engage in voter mobilization if they need to support their supporters and to support providing logistics for their supporters, let them do so. Unfortunately, the issue about locking down the economy of the states will impact on that, because there is no movement of vehicles. So even if the candidates and political parties are ready to provide buses to convey some of their supporters who are registered in long-distance places to go and vote, there will be restriction. They cannot move. And that's why it's counterproductive to lock down the economy because of election. It's very, very counterproductive. Why are you deploying so many security personnel when you say there is an election? Election is not a war. It's not a fight. If the security agencies do their intelligence gathering very well, they will know areas that are prone to violence and be able to deploy more personnel to contain preempt and contain such. But situation where you just lock down the entire state for about 12 hours because of an election that's supposed to hold. Now, you have not factored people who registered in their places of work, but who live far away. We do know that Lagos, just like Abuja, where I'm talking to you, have two populations. There is a day population in Lagos, there is a night population in Lagos. There are those who live in Ogun State that are working